Hello, Amy Elizabeth, somatic and intuitive healer here. I am popping on today to have a chat about Saturn. One of the reasons for that is my women's circle this month is working with Saturn. So I want to just kind of flesh him out a little bit. Saturn is also known as Kronos. For the mythology buffs out there. And his story is that he feared losing his power to his children. And so, like his father before him, he proceeded to start eating his children when they were born. So there is the shadow aspect to Saturn that is about fear. He's also known as the Lord of Caution. He didn't want to risk losing his perception of his own power. So rather than allowing nature to take its course and things to play out and his children to grow up, he ate them. And he did not get his son Zeus or Jupiter. Zeus was hidden away until he became of age, and at which point he challenged his father and released his siblings from Saturn's belly. Now, Saturn is, of course, that's super, super messy. There's this whole idea of the wounds of the father that move with Saturn, because he was Jupiter, his own father, meaning that Saturn's father also decided that the way he was going to deal with his children was to eat them. Saturn was the child hidden away, and Saturn was the child to then release his siblings from his father's grip. So there is this aspect of tradition that moves with Saturn. Saturn being tradition, and how sometimes tradition can be replaying the wounds of the father, the damage of the father. So there can be this stern aspect, this messy daddiness to Saturn. Saturn, which also puts him in an authoritarian or authority position, can be one of his threads is authority. So restriction, restraint, we're going to stop with those being the kind of places we're going to stay, is the restriction, the restraint, the gloominess, the authority, and shift it kind of then into what is Saturn's light, what gifts does Saturn bring us. And I'm also going to drop in the word authority here, because authority can also touch into our inner authority, our own inner compass, to pay attention to where we're headed and that we are in control of our lives. It's not that life is happening to us, life is happening for us, and we have the authority to decide how we're going to meet that. Other like really lovely, what can be lovely words of Saturn are practical. Saturn can be practical. So is our practicality. Saturn is our hard work. Saturn's our work ethic. Saturn is also about strategy, which Pallas Athena carries strategy threads, but Pallas Athena is like an extension of this through Jupiter, Zeus, and then Pallas. So this is a passing on. So Saturn's also strategy. It's our ability to self-discipline, so that we're moving toward something with a measured amount of planning. And of course, all of these things, whether from both sides of the shadow and light, have positive and negative aspects to them. Now, Saturn in the sky is right now in Aquarius. So depending on which house your Aquarius is in your chart, that lets us know what part of your life Saturn is asking you to really work on. Where is he asking you to dig into? So if you have, say, Saturn in your 10th house, Saturn is really asking you to work on your relationship with authority, to work on what is my highest purpose and where am I moving toward, to work on making sure that your reputation is intact. If Saturn is in your seventh house, it is asking you to work on your one on one relationships with others. So, be that your mate, your partner, your individual children, your business partner. So, any one on one relationship, your one on one relationship with each of your parents, your one on one relationship with your colleagues. So, depending on what house Saturn is transiting for you personally right now, shows us where you're being asked to put in the work. If you don't know this and you would like to know this, reach out, check the show notes. I will drop in a link. I've got an astrology sale going on for readings. And so contact me, get your reading, find out where Saturn is working. You can also consider, if you are in a uterus bearing body or a female identified body, joining my women's circle, because we are doing nothing but Saturn all month. So Saturn is he's asking us where to do the work. Now, traditionally Saturn was the ruler of Aquarius. Uranus has since become the ruler of Aquarius. Saturn is also the ruler of Capricorn, which is a very practical sign. I imagine that Saturn in Aquarius, because Aquarian energy is far out, it's doing its own thing. It's very galactic and it's a little without boundaries. If we look at Saturn in the sky, he is the last visible by the naked eye planet that we have. So he was, for a long time before the development of the telescope, considered the end of the universe. So he's about limits. He also travels with his set of rings. He travels with his boundaries. And one way we can look at boundaries is that boundaries hold us in. It's not about keeping others out. It's about holding ourselves in and taking care of what we need to take care of so that we can show up as our best selves. Any other Saturn pieces? Um, like I said, Saturn has a bad rap, but Saturn is who helps keep us focused. He helps us know where our work is most focused. This is another piece of, hey, get your astrology reading. If your Saturn lives in your first house, you may have an addiction to work. You may be a workaholic in the shadow aspect, because he's so much a part of the story of who I am that goes with the first house in astrology, that you may get lost sometimes in, I'm just going to go because I can put my head down and I can work like nobody's business. So knowing where your natal Saturn is and how he interacts with the rest of your chart is super important. So hit me with a like, comment, ask your questions, share me with people. I will put the astrology link, if you want to contact me and ask your question privately, because asking it in a public forum feels like too much. Absolutely feel free to do so. My contact information is in the show notes. And talk to you soon.